video, we will be going through the installation process of the HCL local license server. The local license server can be used by AppScan Standard, AppScan Enterprise, and AppScan Source. The process of installing the local license server can be summarized in these 4 steps. The first step is to download the local license server from the FNO portal. Second step is to create or import a certificate to be used by the HCL local license server. Step 3 is to configure all the ports and install the local license server as a Windows service. And the last step is to finalize the configuration by importing all the AppScan licenses. The process of installing the HCL local license server can be a little bit complicated, so we have provided a set of guides which takes you through step by step on the entire process of setting up the local license server. All right, so the first thing I'll be doing is to navigate to my FNO portal. Here I'll be logging in with my account. Once we're logged in, navigate to download. Under list download, go to the section on categorized products. Select HCL Common Local License Server. Select the very last one here, Common License Server Windows Offline. Click on the file name on the very right to start the download. So now the next step is to create or import the certificate. Now that the file has been downloaded, simply extract it to a place that you wish to install the local license server. In this case here, I'm just going to extract it where the folder is. Once the folder has been extracted, let's go in and go to the folder server. Now that we're in the folder, let's shift, right click, open command windows here, select this option. And here we will type in the command hostname to find out the name for our host here. So my host name here is called AppScan VM2. Now that we know what our host name is, let's copy this down. In my Notepad++, I will be pasting it here so that it's available for us to use later on. The next command that we'll be using is the key tool command. And this is used to create the self-signed certificate that is to be used by the local license server. Now you can use a certificate or authority generated certificate, but in this tutorial, we'll be going through the process of creating a self-signed certificate. All right, so the command we'll be using is called the key tool that is available from the Java JDK 1.8, which is what I have installed here. So I'm simply copying the command from the guide. So make sure you go to the guide and get yourself familiar with all the commands that's being listed here. Everything here I can keep it as default. The only thing that needs to be changed is the DNS name. This name needs to be the same as my host name. So I'm going to copy AppScan VM2 and paste it here. And this command is ready to be used. Let's go back to the command line, right click to paste, and I'll press enter to execute the command. So what has happened now is that I have generated a key store file called lls_keystore.jks, and it's available now under my server folder of my local license server installation folder, right? So the next step here is to go back to our server folder and locate the file flexnet_ls.setting, which is right here. I will right click and edit with Notepad++. Scroll to the very bottom and append this line here, which is called https server config, and that is pointing to a file https_config.txt. I'm going to save this, and then under new Notepad tab, I'm going to be pasting in this next 3 lines. So the first line points to the path of the local license server key store, lls_keystore.jks, the key store password, as well as a port that we specify. So now I'll be saving this under the local license server folder. And the name for this file will be called https_config.txt. press save. And this should produce a new file here, which is the https:/config.txt file. So now the local license server is ready to be installed as a Windows service. Let's go back to our command line interface. And here we'll be typing the following command, flexnet ls.bat-install. After the local license server has been installed, the next step is to start the Windows service. So using the same bat file, except we will be using the start argument. After getting the confirmation message that the service has been successfully started, we can use the same bat file and then here type status to check if the local license server is up and running. All right, perfect. The message says that the service is now running. Now, another way to check if everything is going well with the local license server is to look at the log file. So the log file can be located under C, Windows, under Service Profile, Network Service, under FlexNet LS, HCL, Logs, and look for the one without any extra extensions. So FlexNet LS.log. Right click and edit with Notepad++. Scroll to the very bottom, and it should say that the server is now running as a Windows service. You can also go under Windows Services to see if the FlexNet license server is also running from there. So under my services panel, I go under F and locate the FlexNet license server. You can see that it is running as well. All right, and now that the local license server is installed and ready, the next step is to start the process of getting the AppScan licenses installed. So the first step of getting this started is to obtain our host ID. Okay, so to do that, we will be using a set of commands to extract the host ID from the machine. So let's go under our notepad again. Let's go back to the notepad that we were working on. And the command that we'll be using now is a curl command. So with this curl command, everything is prepped and typed out here. The only thing we need to change is to change our host name and our port. Okay, so the host name that we got from earlier is AppScan VM2. The port is what we configured earlier in the initial setting of the local license server. In this case, it's 4773. Let's put that also up here so we can use it later on. So using this command, let's paste it here. It will actually get us a bearers token that is used to for all the other subsequent commands that will be used later on. So under the token section, that is copy this entire string. I'll press enter to select that and copy it. I'll come back here and paste it in my notepad. So the next command is to extract the host ID. So using this command, that is first paste our bearers token under the your token here. At the URL, let's also make sure to change our host name to our proper host name and the port as well. Okay, copy this entire command, go back to command prompt, and paste it, and run. All right, now we have our list of host IDs. Look for the one that is a 12 character hex string. In this case, it will be this one for me. So I'm going to copy this. And also come back to my notepad and paste it to be used later on. Now let's go back to the FNO portal. And now we're going to be creating a device based on the host ID that we got from earlier. So under device, go to create device. Under name, let's put in a device name. So I'm going to call this LS test. Check the run license server checkbox. Select local. Keep the ID type as Ethernet. And we're going to be pasting here our host ID that we got from earlier under the ID section. Okay, and simply click Save once you're done. After your device has been created, the next step is to map a set of AppScan licenses that you want into this device. So go to Action, map entitlements, and browse to the products that you want to associate to this particular device. Now make sure that you only pick the floating license from here and not the no log or authorized user license. All right, so for this example, I'm just going to pick the AppScan Enterprise Server install. I'll select one and click Save. So now we should see an additional license that has been added for the AppScan Enterprise Server install. The reason why I have all these other licenses is because I've been adding other licenses in the past. So depending on what you've added, they will appear here as well. So now the next step is to download the capability response Bim file. To do that, go to Action and click on Download Capability Response. Let's go find that file and then copy it over to our server folder as well. So I have copied it and I will be pasting it over here. You see that the file name matches the host ID of the machine that we extracted earlier. So now the next step is to upload the Bim file to the local license server. So the command we'll be using is this one that I'm going to be pasting in Notepad. A couple things that we need to replace here is the token. Okay, so use the token that we got from earlier. Let's paste it there. We will need to update the host name as well. So AppScan VN2. Let's put that down there. And the port number as well on the port. And now we're going to have to upload the Bim file. And to specify the Bim file's file name, it is listed under the data binary argument here. So simply change the your Bim file name here to the one that we have just downloaded from the FNO portal. Okay, so I know that it's the same as the host name. So I'm just going to copy that from there and paste it there. So the file that we'll be uploading is this one .bin. Okay, now let's copy this command. And I'm going to go back to our command line and paste here and enter. If it shows confirmation request needed false, it indicates that this has successfully been uploaded onto the local license server. You can actually verify this by going to the log that we were looking at earlier. So under the log file, you scroll to the very bottom. You can see a list of all the AppScan licenses that have been pushed onto this server. Now this one shows that one of the feature or license in this case here has been added, which is this AppScan Enterprise server. But in my local license server, I have actually in the past added all the other licenses from before. So that will show updated feature. And now I have a total of 13 different licenses updated into the local license server here. Okay. So now by this point, your HCL local license server is actually successfully installed on this particular machine. Now you can also check the status of the licenses as it gets checked in or checked out by AppScan. So to do that, there's a different command that we use to run that. And I'm going to go back to my notepad here. So this command that I'll be using is called the flexnet admin.bat. So similar to before, we're going to have to update the host name with our host name here. So AppScan VM2 port is 7443. Let's copy this command. So this bat file is actually not located under the server folder. What we have to do is type cd ... to go up one folder, and then type cd enterprise. I'm going to type enter, tab to complete it. And here is where we can paste the command that we copied from earlier. Okay, so I'm going to paste that, press enter. Let's expand this. So this will give somewhat of a graphical view on the status of all the licenses. Okay, so you can see all the licenses that's been imported onto the local license server, the quantity that's been used, which is the number on the left side of the slash, and then the quantity available, which is on the right side. At the bottom, you can also see the total number of licenses available. They call it feature here, but it's licenses. And then the number of licenses being used. Under the device information section, you can see what device is checking out which particular license. Okay, so we can see the AppScan VM2, which is this machine, currently has one enterprise server basic checked out. All right, so this concludes the tutorial on the installation of the local license server. Thank you for watching.